Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass. This week we're going to have a quick look at a little melodic move that can make a big difference to your bass lines, fills and solos, and it's something that you actually hear all the time, it's just you might not know what it is. As always, the lesson material is all there over at the Talkingbass website, so just click the link in the card or in the info below. Then, while you're there, remember to check out over 500 extra free bass lessons in the lesson map and sign up for the free membership to gain access to a ton of free practice resources, ebook downloads, and a complete social network, and much, much more. Like I said, it's all free and there's a great community of over 120,000 other bass players, so if you want to ask any questions, they're all there. So, go check it out. So, the move I'm talking about is the minor to major third blues lick. Well, I say it's a lick, but it's actually just two notes, but don't worry about that for now. So let's take a C note at the third fret of the A string. Now, do you know your third intervals? Now, if you don't, the major third is easy to work out. It's just the third note of the major scale. So 1, 2, 3. Then the minor third is 1/2 step lower. Okay, so from a C note, E would be the major third and E flat would be the minor third. There's the happy major third and there's the sad minor third. So the move we're looking at is the minor third slipping into the major third, which sounds like this. Okay, now on its own it obviously doesn't sound like anything, but in context it's going to sound more like this. So you can hear there that there's a really bluesy sound. There's that. Okay? So what's happening here and how do we use it? Well, I know I said it's a minor third to major third, and yes, that's what it is if you want to look at it from a basic intervallic sense. But to place it in context, you really need to see this relative to chord tones and harmony. And the chord that most commonly works with this move is the dominant 7 chord, the blues chord. So let's quickly look at a C dominant 7 chord. So played as a chord, it sounds like that. There's that bluesy sound. You'll see this in chord symbols as C7, and it's a major triad with a flat 7 or minor 7 on the top. So in terms of the notes for a C7, we have C, E, G and B flat. So C, E, G is the nicey nice major triad, and then we have the hard edge minor 7 on the top, which gives it that dominant 7 sound. Okay, so for this particular fingering, 3rd fret of the A string, then 2nd and 5th frets on the D string, and then the 3rd fret on the G string. Okay, so that's the arpeggio of that C7 chord. So you want to learn that arpeggio up and down. You want to transpose it to different keys. Just playing it up and down the neck, playing it on different root notes. You want to extend the notes above and below, so you might add the octave in there from the root note. Come down as well, so bring that flat 7 down, 5th, 3rd, so. Okay, and then, playing in different areas. And play it with a root note on the E string and the A string, okay? So this is the musical context in which we're going to use this minor to major third move. If we look at the intervals within that C7, we have the root note, we've got the major third, the perfect 5th, and the minor 7th, all measured from the root note. So we have a major third in there, C to that E. Now all we have to do is approach the major third from a 1/2 step below. And there you are, we have that cool bluesy move. And you could even play the arpeggio up. So we've got the dominant 7 arpeggio without that move. And then with the little approach note, and you can hear how we had that bluesy sound. Now, it's worth mentioning here that this move doesn't work in reverse the same way. We can't play the major third into the minor third and expect the same sound. The major third is the key part of the move, and it should be seen as a half-step approach into that major third from below. Don't worry about the minor third to major third kind of thing. It's just a half step leading into the major third from below, and that's how we get that sound. So in coming down the arpeggio, we still want to use the upward approach like that. So now, obviously, we don't need to use all the notes of an arpeggio all the time when using this move. That's just to show you the general context. To help with seeing how it works with a bass line, we can look at some famous riffs that use the move, like, for instance, Day Tripper by the Beatles. So there we have an E7 arpeggio with that move right there. There's that minor to major third. So. Then for something a little heavier, there's Killing in the Name Of by Rage Against the Machine. So. There's that move, and it's what gives it the sound of that riff. It's got that little bluesy kind of almost perverse kind of sound. And what's interesting about that riff is that we have that the first time, which is kind of a majory dominant 7 kind of vibe. But when we get to the end of the riff, that lower part, that's all minor third, so it's got a much darker sound at the end of the riff. And then there's my personal favourite of the bunch, Pump It Up by Elvis Costello. Okay, so this time we're in B7. Start on that B, then we have the G sharp up to the A, so that's a half step into the flat 7 there with a major 6. So, and there's that minor to major third. Okay, so it's all working around that B7. So it's that minor to major third in there, that little bluesy move that really gives it that flavour. Now, like I said, this is actually better seen as a half-step approach rather than a major third and a minor third. When you see it as a melodic device, like an approach note, you can apply that concept to other notes. Now remember, chord tones are the framework that we work around in creating bass lines. So you can take that half-step approach and apply it to all of the other chord tones in that dominant 7 arpeggio, or in fact any arpeggio. So with that dominant 7, instead of just approaching the 3rd, you can also approach the 5th, or the 7th, and even the top root note. So, but the idea with these is that they're in passing. You're not using them as, you know, the main notes of the part. It's approaching the chord tone. So you have the tension in the approach, and then it resolves. So even though that B natural up on the top of the C7 is not in the chord, it doesn't matter. Okay? So as I play there, it's still within this C7. So that's just a little food for thought, something to mess around with and to observe in the music that you learn and hear. Please like this video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel, then check out the Talkingbass website for over 500 other free lessons just like this one, as well as the free membership, the free downloads, the social network, the courses and much, much more. Click the link in the description below and I'll see you next week.